Welcome to my podcast, Today's Dream, Tomorrow's Reality. My name is Vicki Poole. I'm a life coach, health coach, and hypnotist at the Enlightened Peach. And this podcast is all about embracing our mosaic life. And some of you may ask, what is a mosaic life? It's recognizing that all the pieces of our life, the good, the bad, the indifferent, have all come together to make us who we are. Change any one thing, and we are different. With that in mind, I invite you to embrace your perceived imperfections and celebrate who you are. This podcast is unedited and raw, just like life. And I will be your host, and I will have special guests from time to time. But in the meantime, if you have any ahas or questions, please leave a comment or a voice message. So now, let's get started. Well, it's funny because I've been thinking a lot about different things. I'm a constant reader. I don't know if you are or not, but I'm always learning about a new book and diving into it and just really constantly learning, right? And I was thinking the other day about, I don't know if you've had this experience, but there was this at one point, and this has been a while back, I was very fascinated with Teslas. And so I'd been talking about the Tesla car and I really didn't see any on the street or anything. I'd just seen pictures and a little thing on YouTube. And, so it wasn't like they were everywhere at the time. But as soon as I started talking about them and looking into them, everywhere I went in my neighborhood, in the surrounding neighborhoods, even going out of town, it was like there was Teslas everywhere, in front of me, beside me, behind me, but everywhere, whereas I had never really seen them before. And this is a phenomenon that is the fact that our brain only sees what it's willing to see or what it's looking for. And so I touched on this just a touch on another episode that I did, and it was about how everybody perceives things from their past. And so if two people see the same event happen, they'll both have a totally different story about what the event was. But the other thing is, if we're looking for things to go wrong, they're going to go wrong. And it's like, you've probably heard people make the statement, well, I knew that was going to happen. I knew she was going to drop that. I knew they were going to say that to me. I knew the relationship was going to go south. And people say that because that was what they expected. That's what they were looking for. Now, deep down in their heart, they probably really didn't want that to happen, but it was the thing that was on the top of their mind. It was what they believed. And so when you think about it that way, like some people will say, I just can't seem to manifest anything. And the fact is that you manifest all the time. It's just sometimes you're manifesting by default, or you're manifesting things that you don't want because that's what you're talking about and thinking about. And that comes down to so many different things. And nobody's immune to this. I mean, I know these things. And yet still sometimes I will catch myself kind of going down the rabbit hole about something that I don't want to be part of my reality. Yet, have you ever had the experience, and I know I have, where you are thinking about having a conversation with someone, and in your mind, you practice the conversation and how they're going to say this and you're going to say this back. And most of the time it's of a negative context that, it's you're basically rehearsing how bad things are going to go and how you're going to have to defend yourself. And so the beauty of that is you can flip it around to where you can practice things going well. And I've shared this story with some of my clients in the past, but I used to go out to lunch with a group of people, and there was always this one person that seemed to always get under my skin. I don't know how she did it, but she whatever she said to me as I arrived would kind of be like, that bothers me. And she would make little comments, and I would always get a little irritated with them. And it got to the point where when we would be planning this luncheon, I would rehearse on the way there about, I know she's going to say this stupid statement as soon as I get there. So this is what I'm going to say. And that's what I was doing. And I got to thinking about it, and I thought, this is silly. I know better. I really do. So I'm just going to do this experiment. So the next time we were going to go have this luncheon, I said to myself, okay, I am going to imagine things going totally different. I'm going to rehearse that story in my mind. I'm going to rehearse how when I get there, she is very sweet and kind and excited to see me. She actually comes over and she gives me a hug and she says, I'm so glad you're here today, and just come over here and sit. And the conversation just is so pleasant and so nice. And then when the whole thing is over, no feelings were hurt, nobody said anything out of the way. She actually gives me a hug in my imagination, and I get in my car and I leave. And so the day of this, I made sure that I rehearsed again before I ever left the house. I sat down in my car, went through the scenario in my mind, and went to this luncheon. And believe it or not, what I thought was going to happen, that's what happened. And so it was a really cool experiment, because all those times that things had seemed unpleasant, I rehearsed those too. And so something about my rehearsing that brought that energy with me. And that was the energy that she interacted with. So it was really me that was creating this energy. And she was just attracted to it and responding to it, right? And so when you think about things like that, and it's kind of like, I know Abraham Hicks calls it pre-paving. That's what when I talk to my clients, it's pre-paving or imagining a different scenario. And so the fun thing is, if you would experiment with this, I invite you to experiment. And if you start recognizing that you're practicing this some conversation in your mind, whether it's a phone conversation, a Zoom conversation, in person, whatever it may be, and that you're actually got the scenario going in a not so pleasant place, maybe it's not, I don't know, but just if it is, then as soon as you recognize that, stop exactly what you're doing and decide, how would you rather this go? And you can't, the thing is that when you start rehearsing for the way you want it to go, it doesn't benefit you if you do this scenario and you say, yeah, but I know it's not going to go that way because this is the way it's always gone before. This person's not a nice person, yada, 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 yada. We can always make excuses. But give it everything and just go ahead and experiment with it. Going all in on, this is the scenario and I'm practicing it. Pretend you're an actor or an actress and you are going to be a star artist, actor, actress, and this is a play that you are in. And just maybe make it a play, make it you're playing a part, but you're really being yourself in a more positive light. So that's just my little take for today, because we our eyes only see and our ears only hear what our brain is looking for. So start being more deliberate in what you're feeding your brain, what you're wanting it to see, and what you're expecting it to see. You are in control of that brain that you have. And it's time to take it off the default setting where you're just letting it, like if you're in the water and you've got the oars in the boat and you're just letting it just go wherever it wants to go. But if you put the oars in the water and you actually direct it, you'll get somewhere you want to be. So this is practicing putting your oars in the water and taking control of what's going on around you. So I would love to hear whatever comes up from this, from hearing this. What do you feel about the little challenge that I've given you? And if you give it everything, then I would love for you to come back and tell me how it worked out for you. Because I tell you, if you know that that's what's going to happen, that is the way it's going to happen. So with that, be blessed, and I will be seeing you soon. Mwah.